What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fight Like Hell podcast. This is episode 35. Austin didn't leave me a date. It's 10/17/2021.
Are you sure?
In case you're listening to this in 2042 or something like that.
Where I have no legs.
What's that?
So where I have no legs, remember?
Yeah. You have no legs in the future. We discussed this earlier as we were setting up the studio. We have a very special guest tonight, Brian, aka Bree K9, K9 Bam, K9 Bam.
Yep.
Yeah, K9 Bam.
Bam.
I can't read. Everyone knows that listens to this podcast. Rob can't read.
That's
But Brian, first off, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, doing great, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be on.
of
We're
course, man.
honored to have you, dude.
Yeah. So we'll get into one of the reasons like we have you on and like why we're bringing you on. We'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, man, definitely glad to have you on here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I was floored when you asked me earlier in the week, also. So I appreciate it, guys. Appreciate being on, and hope I can contribute something positive.
Oh yeah. So let's get into it, Rob. How was your? I guess we didn't do a podcast last week. So how was your past 2 weeks been?
Well, that was something I was going to say that we were having trouble getting me set up over here, and there was a lot of things going on with moving out to Arizona, and we wanted to have on a really good guest. So I think it was probably about like 2 weeks ago, Austin reached out to Brian and said that we wanted to have him on, or at least a week and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like, we started making show notes and everything, and we were supposed to do it, I think, like Tuesday night last week. And I had to go get a washer and dryer that was 2 hours away. So I had to do like 4 hours of round trip to a place that I was that day before.
Yeah.
So like, it just kind of like messed everything up. And I told Austin, I was like, honestly, like our episodes where we have guests on are better anyways. Why don't we just like nix the podcast for a week? People can deal with it, and let's bring Brian on because I think it's just going to be more incredible that way. So it was a good decision.
Yeah, I mean our episodes do better with our episodes do better when we have guests compared to where it's just me and you bullshitting back and forth. So
yeah, I know, because most of the time we don't even know what we're talking about. But
no. It's
to
only 35
answer the
episodes,
question, it's been a lot of fun weekends the past probably like month. I actually want to make like a montage reel of everywhere because I went from literally Montana with you like 4 weeks ago through Wyoming, down through Colorado, through northern Arizona, out to Arizona, and then out to Sedona. I have 3-day weekends every single weekend. Also, I want to like shout out the people I work with. I'm going to keep them nameless because a bunch of them aren't on social media and for cybersecurity purposes. But like, we'll get into the details on it. But if any of my coworkers or team are listening, I love it here. Yeah, it's been incredible. Like, there's just like to work in a national park is just, I don't know how to explain it. Especially, it's something that ALY, who's laying down behind me, and I do often. To actually live and work here has been cool. So it's just been tons and tons of hikes. I mean, like I can literally go off work and go run the rim or go hike the rim, go down into the canyon, go out to Sedona, go out to a bunch of different places.
And then how many animal encounters have you had?
A lot. I think I've seen a lot of elk out here. Saw javelinas the other day for the first time. The wild pigs.
Yeah.
You
saw a bull one night?
Oh my God. Brian, did you see that on my story?
Yes.
That scared the shit out of me.
I think that would have scared anyone.
Taking an alley down, and I don't know if we explained this on the podcast yet, and I'm just going to cover it real quick, and then we're going to get into Brian's weekend thing. The Grand Canyon is one of a few national parks. It's considered as like one of the bigger national parks, but it's also proud to do dark skies. It's a dark sky community. And what that basically means is they minimize as much artificial light as possible. There's barely any street lamps anywhere, especially like when you're driving around places. And then for the apartment complex I was living at before I moved into my house, the only thing that was lit up at night are the interiors of the apartments. You can see lights on throughout the little apartment complex and the stairwells. But the second you step out from the stairwell, it goes pitch black. And all of us were military, so you know how it is when you're in light and then you go into pitch black. Like it takes a second or two for your eyes to like adjust. So Allie and I one night were going downstairs to pee for her. I wasn't going to pee. I'd probably get in trouble for that.
Don't lie. You know
But
you pee outside.
I actually do. At my house, I do. It's so dark out there. No one could see me. Anyways,
it'd be full day and no one could see it either.
I was coming down the stairs, and right before I went down the stairs, there had been a couple times where we had seen elk in the back area, other animals. I don't want to say the other word because it'll alert Allie. Anyways,
you just said her name.
I took a headlamp and shined it over the balcony. Saw nothing. I go down the stairs, and I am face to face within like 30 feet of a bull, a full-size bull, and it's just staring at me. It's staring at Allie, and we're at the stairwell, and the bull is there, and I'm just like, oh, fuck. And I don't know if it's going to charge us, like what it's going to do, but it broke my brain a little bit because like even seeing like a mountain lion, a bear, some sort of wild animal that, belongs here, it would have made more sense. Seeing a cow would have been a little bit less intimidating, but seeing a full-grown bull with its huge, what do they call horns? Yeah, horns.
Yeah.
Looking at us, and Allie just like froze. She didn't do anything, and I'm like, great. So we backed up, let the bull go, and then we went downstairs. But yeah, it's pretty wild out here, and I took videos of it and put it on my stories, and it was kind of funny. So, Brian,
yes, sir.
Tell us about your weekend events. What did you do this weekend?
Well, not much, quite honestly. Bam and I had a pretty long week, so I was on the road last weekend, and then we got back like Thursday night. So Friday I did my job, worked, and then yesterday we just chilled, watched some football, got some house chores done, that kind of stuff. It's pretty much same with today. Just kind of chilled, took it easy, took some walks and did some exercise and stuff with Bam, but just kind of decompress this week before we jump back into our regular routine of training and stuff this week. So,
and what do you do for a living, Brian?
So I'm a government contractor right now. I'm on the Air Force. It's called AFSOC, Special Ops Command. Their Blue Force tracking program.
Oh, okay, cool. I had no idea what you did. So.
Yeah, so that's what I do now. Good times.
Nice. So you're also a federal employee.
I am, yes.
Just like Rob.
On the contract side of the house, yeah.
Yeah. Contractors make really good money, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't complain.
Yeah. So you obviously had a busy week. Why don't you tell the Fight Like Hell listeners some of the places you were? Because I saw you posting stuff on social media. I saw a couple pictures. Oh, also give us your @sign. That way people can look you up if they can't see this.
Yeah, so on Instagram, you can find me at Bri, BRI _K9BAM. And then I'm on Facebook too, but I don't really mess with Facebook too often. But if you want to find me if you want to find me on Facebook, it's Bravo Lima is my name on there. But to go back to what Rob was talking about, so Bam and I are on a task force, and it's called USAR, Urban Search and Rescue. And so Bam is a live find search and rescue canine, which means he finds live people in disaster areas. So like recent news, the building collapse that happened in Surfside in Miami.
Right.
When that building collapsed, that's something that we train for.
Okay.
So, tornadoes, hurricanes. So I live in the Gulf Coast in Northwest Florida. So we get a lot of tornadoes, a lot of hurricanes and that kind of stuff. So we train for disaster work, and he specializes in finding live victims. So, trapped people and things like that. So last week we went up to a training area. It's called Muscatatuck Urban Training Center. It's in Indiana, Butlerville, Indiana. So we went up there, and they have an amazing place. It's like Disneyland for search and rescue folks. There's a huge event going on that was sponsored by an organization called IPWATA, which is the International Police Working Dog Association. So they had some master trainers and trainers out there that were able to offer some certification events. So Bam and I went up there to get what's called a Type 1 certification, which is kind of the pinnacle, the peak of where we need to be for certifications. We were unsuccessful in getting certified this time.
Oh no.
Which is okay. It's okay. It's a bummer. It was a huge bummer, but I had an opportunity to learn a lot from some of the, most well-known people in the business. So we're gonna give it hell. We're gonna fight like hell to get back at it, and we'll have another opportunity to certify again, or to attempt a certification again. But the certification is so there's 3 different types, and it goes from Type 3 being the lowest to Type 1 being the pinnacle, like I said. And we had already accomplished our Type 3 and our Type 2 like 6 months prior, up near the same area, same evaluators and things like that. So we went up there to attempt this one, and like I said, we were unsuccessful. It came down to a game of inches. It really comes down to Bam using his nose and me being able to read what he's telling me, as well as, his alert is a bark. So if he finds a victim, he'll give me a bark, and then I have to mark the location that he's telling me there's a victim.
Right.
I was outside of my allowable radius for evaluation purposes. So he gives me an alert. I have 10 feet basically, and I was outside of that window, which is why we were unsuccessful. So, but I'll tell you guys, man, he did an amazing job. He's a really good search dog.
And how long have you had him?
I've had him for 3 years now. I've been training with him for 2. We had him for the first year. He's a rescue. I have 4 dogs total, but he's my work dog, and he is a rescue. So, getting him as a rescue, kind of getting him into the fold of the family and routine and things like that, the other dogs and stuff, just kind of had a dog that just wouldn't calm down. Like, throw the ball, we could go run 6 miles, we could, do anything we wanted to do, and it wasn't enough for him. He needed more. And so I thought, hey, he just needs to be smoked. Let's go for a smoke session. And we'd go for a run and then come home, and he's ready to play ball, and he'll play ball until he drops.
Now, what kind of dog is he?
He's a lab mix, a black lab
That's
mix.
what I thought. Yeah. So I have a black lab too, and so I know exactly how you feel. You can throw that ball. You can throw that ball forever, and they're never gonna stop until they drop.
Right.
Like,
I'm literally cringing. I'm cringing how much you guys are saying BALL, because the one behind me that's sleeping is all about that too. So
yeah.
So Bam's in the other room right now, or I wouldn't be able to say it either.
Right.
Yeah, well, mindful ears are here, and in the process of getting set up, my headphones broke, so
yes.
I can't.
So tell that funny story, Rob. What happened to your headphones?
So my very expensive podcasting headphones. One night I come home after being over, I think at my boss's house for a little bit and hanging out with coworkers. They had like a nice welcome to the park party for ALY and I. And I come home and the Roomba is like in the middle of my floor in the living room, and it's dead. and I see the headphones got dragged behind it. And I was like, motherfucker, dude, like those headphones are so fucking expensive. And all I kept thinking was like, okay, maybe it's fine. Maybe it just grabbed like the tip of it or whatever. So we had them plugged in earlier, and one of the headphones is dead. Like it doesn't work at all. And then it was constantly creating static feedback on the soundboard that I use that was coming across the mic. So anytime, like have you guys ever had old school headphones where if they're starting to like fall apart or wear and tear, you have to like fidget it to get it to play the sound or to play the sound through? It was doing that, but it was giving terrible feedback. And I have no effing idea right now where like string headphones are in my place, because I still have so much stuff to put away. This was a big project today, getting everything done in here, but there's still a lot of stuff to do. And Austin, I actually forgot to keep looking. I just worried about setting up the studio because we had a backup plan to do audio this way. So she can hear everything we're saying.
She's half asleep back there anyways.
That doesn't stop.
I'll try to be cognizant then.
I mean, I'll just say some of her favorite words and we'll be good.
No, please don't. Like, I would like to sit for this podcast. But before I cut you off about the BALL, you were saying that it was a transition period because of the fact that Bam had so much, we know the word, drive, essentially.
Yeah,
so
exactly
you kind of like actually use that to your advantage, I'm assuming, and turned him into like a sniffing dog or search dog. Or you want to elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, sure. So so my wife and I, when we got married, she had a Beagle Dalmatian mix named Olivia, and when she passed away, my wife was having a really hard time with it. Well, we both were, but it was my wife's dog, so she was having a really hard time with it. So she's like, we need a puppy. I need a puppy. And I'm like, man, I got a friend of mine. My buddy, his call sign's Jazzy, so everybody calls him Jazzy. So I called him up and I said, hey, man, looking for one of those pups. And he said the foster mom was down the street from us. He's at the foster. So we went over there, picked out Bam. It was supposed to be my wife's dog. And so we also have a corgi that my wife took to a class that's a therapy dog. So my wife takes her to nursing homes and things like that. The trainer that taught the class for the therapy session, I was like, hey, let me bend your ear for a few minutes. I have this lab mix and I can't get him. He doesn't seem to be satisfied with anything that I'm doing. He's got a really high drive. And she has a ton of experience with working dogs. So she says, let me come by the house and we'll see. So she came by the house and she brought over some jars that were samples of like a diabetes sample, human remains, animal remains, like some other things that the working dogs use, right. and to see if he would show any interest in it. He didn't really show any interest in any of that kind of stuff. And then we have his TOY that I use is a tug.
That's permitted.
Right.
We call those BABY or BABIESs.
Oh, I got you.
But if you call it a toy, she'll be fine.
Okay. So his toy of choice is a tug.
So which most working dogs is.
Yes. So she takes his tug and she's like, hold him and I'm going to go run off behind. She had like a shed in her yard. So she goes and takes off and goes and runs. And she's like, let him go. And so I let Bam go and he took off, found where she was and started barking at her. And the rest is pretty much history. The lady, her name's Jennifer. She is actually the canine lead for the task force team that I'm on. So she's like, why don't you bring him out to the training center and let's expose him to some things and see how he does. And so that was, a little over 2 years ago. And, we were already, testing, which is pretty incredible. So like police working dogs, military working dogs, and things like that, they have all these hours of training with their handler, all consecutive. Those guys get paid to work with their dogs. We're all volunteers, and I get to work with them at home every day, and doing obedience and agility and things like that. But actually working with my team and putting them into search scenarios with a engineered rubble pile, or buildings that we can use, or connexes, or whatever the scenario may be. I only get to work with them 4 times a month doing those kinds of things.
Right.
So,
yeah, because search and rescue is all volunteer.
well, for my task force it is. Some task force it isn't. And
for here, for local here, ours is too. Ours is all volunteer.
Yeah. So we jumped on this task force, and pretty much the rest is history. We train every Saturday with the task force, and then I have a training plan which I follow during the week. And it's a lot of work, but it's something that he really enjoys. And once I really got started in it, I was like ignorant to this whole process. You see dogs on the news, you see dogs with the police, you see dogs with the fire departments, and on all kinds of things. And I had no clue what that really entailed. I didn't know that it was so robust, and it required a lot of training, a lot of training for me as well as for the canine. So, so we jumped on, and like I said, the rest is history. It's a lot of fun. Bam really enjoys it. I really enjoy it. I didn't realize there was so much science and things behind how your scent moves and how odor moves and all those good kind of things. And but yeah, so to answer Rob's question, that's kind of the Cliff Notes version of how we got started into it, and the rest is history. That's about it with that.
I was gonna say too, because Austin and I were talking, I think last week, about you, and until like it's funny because like I felt like I ate my words like halfway through the week. So Austin's like, yeah, we're gonna have him on, and he can talk about his dog too. I think it's a service dog, and I'm like, no, I don't think it's a service dog. I think it's just his dog that goes everywhere with him, and like they trained together, and it was part of the 22 challenge or whatever. And then literally like 2 days later, you post like a picture of you doing like rescue search training, and I'm like, fuck, it's an actual working dog. It's not a service dog, but it's a working dog. Like it's not just your pet. Like it's a legitimate like working animal, which is more than a pet. Because I was telling Austin, I was like, I think it's just his pet that goes places with him.
So it started. It's kind of crazy that like. So I follow a lot of the same people. So I had heard about Rescue 22 Foundation like a while ago. And then the Coast 9 K-Line folks, they have an affiliate local to me. His name's Byron. So him and his wife have a Coastline K9 office local to me. And so I'd heard about these folks, and we tried to train at some of the same venues, not at the same time, but at the same venues of some of the buildings they use and stuff like that. So I had heard of Rescue 22 Foundation. I bought a couple of that's not a word. I bought a couple of T-shirts and things, and donated, to their cause before this challenge even started. And then so I saw what you guys were sharing, and then I saw what they were sharing, and I'm like, well, Bam and I can use some endurance. It never hurts to, like I said, I'm in the Gulf Coast, so high humidity and that kind of stuff. Like, it never hurts to get him out there, and we can get some miles in. He can get some endurance done, and then we can do our actual training. So that's how we got started with that. That just kind of, man, that thing got legs and just kind of grew, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and
what state are you in?
What's that?
What state are you in?
I'm in Florida. I'm in Northwest Florida by Pensacola area.
Okay. Wait, so isn't it like 11 there? 11:30?
It's 10:30.
So they're on Central Time?
Where I'm at is Central Time, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Florida's
you know
on 2
why?
different times.
Right.
Know why?
What's that?
The rest of Florida doesn't consider that Florida. That's lower Alabama.
It's the Redneck Riviera.
This is true too.
I mean, Rob's from Florida, so he can talk shit about it.
I'm from South Florida. I just don't claim it often. I think I've occasionally brought it up in the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm quite embarrassed about it, to be honest.
You just say you're from
Mom,
Alaska
Dad, I love
usually.
you. Mom, Dad, I love you, but you guys live in a shitty state. I'm sorry.
You usually claim you're from Alaska.
Yeah, no, I tell people all the time, ALY and I are from Alaska because that's actually where she was born and is from.
When
So I like
realistically, you're from Florida.
No, we don't talk about that. It's not a thing.
Where were you born, Rob?
So there was a couple other things we wanted to cover.
Oh, I see how it is.
And one of them, I asked you guys to get a beverage, although Brian told me it's too late for him. He's got a bedtime. He's not allowed to have beverages past like 9 o'clock or something like that. But I would like to raise glasses / cups of water or alcohol, whatever beverage you have. You have a bottle of water.
Yeah.
Brian, what are you drinking, Austin?
Same thing as usual. Orange juice and
That
rum.
gay ass pineapple and rum.
Hey,
it's
better than your stupid whiskey.
No, this is scotch actually.
Oh.
But anyways, all right, enough with the semantics. Let's get into the cheers. I just wanted to cheers both of you because there's a couple things that crossed my mind about this podcast. One, Brian, like we met you through the 22 challenge, and you know you're a great contributing member of the 22 challenge, but you also reached out to me quite a bit personally to see if I was doing okay with my move, with my breakup, with ALY not getting out here safely. And you became like a big brother figure to me that like I look up to and I appreciate. So that's part of your cheers. Austin, I wanted to cheers you because, you know, you've been by my side through so much shit this past
only everything.
Only everything for the past year. Our podcast is going really well. We're 35 episodes in. Who would have thought? And you know,
I thought I was going to quit at number 2.
I didn't think we'd make it to like 3. Like, what the fuck are we going to talk about? Anyways, cheers. Cheers to both you gentlemen. I appreciate you guys dearly. Cheers.
Cheers.
And cheers to our listeners. Okay. So, Brian, let's get into your backstory. Take us back though, because if I remember correctly, you do have military experience. Or yes, okay,
yeah.
Well, I was pretty sure you were a veteran. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about that, and you know how you came into the military, where you're originally from, all that good stuff.
Sure. All right. So I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, originally. My father and my grandfather were Marine veterans. They were both in the Marine Corps. And I thought that was for me for sure. I grew up like 2 hours north of Parris Island. So I thought I was going to be a Marine for sure. I had some surgery on my knee when I was younger. And when I went to MEPS for the Marine Corps twice, actually. And their orthopedic surgeon was like, not going to happen, bro. Which is weird because I did play sports and stuff in high school, but okay. So where I grew up, they had like all the recruiting stations were like in a strip mall. So they were all like right next to each other, like they are through most of the US.
Yeah, everywhere.
And yeah. So I came out.
Just pick one.
Came out of the Marine Corps recruiting office, and the Air Force guy was standing outside, and he was like, "Oh man, you're going to be a Marine." And I kind of explained to him what had happened, and he's like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to work on helicopters. Like, airplanes are cool and stuff, but I want to work on helicopters." And he was kind of bummed. He's like, "Man, the Air Force doesn't have any helicopters." And like, I was like, "All right." So, you know, they take your name and number, of course, for everything. This is before cell phones. And then by the time I'd gotten home, my parents were like, "Hey, this guy called for you." And so I called the recruiter back, the Air Force recruiter back, and he's like, "Hey, man, got helicopters. The Air Force has helicopters. It's called Combat Search and Rescue.
I was
They're
gonna
H6."
say they have Pavlos, right? Or what are they called?
They did have Pavlos, which is the 53, but they have a Black Hawk variant called Pave Hawks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because we've used them in conjunctions with our medevacs with what's the pararescue for
PJs.
Air Force? PJs,
Yeah.
exactly.
Auto jumpers.
Yeah. Like they definitely have helicopters. The fucking recruiter was wrong.
Oh yeah, I would hope so. I mean,
so
they're not going to take Chinooks and pick up people.
So that was like 95. All right, so I
Okay.
came in 96 after I graduated high school, took the summer off, came in, guaranteed job, was going to go work on helicopters, going to be a helicopter crew chief. So I did that for like the first 10 years of my career. Various places. I went to Valdosta, Georgia, and then I went overseas to Okinawa, and then I was in Arizona for a little while down in Tucson. Volunteered for a special duty assignment. It's called Combat Aviation Advising. It's in where I am right now. It's in the same location where I'm at. So did that, and then went to a schoolhouse where I was an instructor teaching the air advising thing up in New Jersey, which was interesting, being that I've been pretty much in the South most of my career, most of my life. Went up to New Jersey, did that stint up there where I was at a schoolhouse, went back to my regular career field and went back to South Georgia, and had enough. That was good enough for me at that point. So after I did 21 and then retired, and then after I retired, came back down to Northwest Florida where my wife and I had met and got married and stuff like that. So we knew we were going to retire here. And I was lucky enough to hop onto a contracting gig where I was teaching field skills to Air Force Special Operations guys, not PJs and combat controllers, but the rest of the folks, air crew, high risk capture
like
folks,
Ravens,
and things like that. So in AFSOC, they're called daggers.
Mm-hmm.
It's they have a little bit of a different skill set, but
yeah, isn't that the DAGRES?
Yeah,
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
They had their own team. We were under the same unit, but they had their own team that taught those folks. But we taught a lot of the same things. So I taught, mission planning, land nav, shooting, driving, comm, like all that good kind of stuff. So I did that for like 3 years, and then took the job that I'm on now with Blue Force Tracking. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Quickly, because we could talk about all that stuff.
Hey, what was the last part that you said? Were you saying Blue Force Tracking, or
Yeah,
I didn't catch that?
Yeah, Blue Force Tracking.
What version are they on of that now? Because I was with the Strikers back in 2003 when they first rolled it out for before we left for Iraq that year.
So there's all kinds of different versions because you have air and ground components and all kinds of stuff. So there's all kind of different versions now that we probably shouldn't talk about in this environment.
Okay, fair enough.
No,
fair enough.
No worries. we completely understand that whole OPSEC. So
don't say anything OPSEC. I guess from like a technology standpoint, I utilized it back then. I utilized it all the way through like 2010. So I was actually let's talk offline sometime about things you can or can't say, because I'm just interested in the progression of it, because just from like 2003 to 2010, the improvements were significant, and we were actually able to do a lot more in Afghanistan than we did in Iraq.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll tell you, technology has advanced. So You know,
Good.
things are a little bit different than they were back when we were in Iraq and stuff like that. So,
Cool.
But yeah. So that's what I do now. So I work in a vault, and no windows, all that good stuff.
Fun.
Come outside, and it's like,
right. So basically, you spent your whole life in the military.
yes,
In some form of military path or career. Even to this day, you work for the military.
Correct. Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never knew any of that about you. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely makes you a lot more interesting.
See,
yeah, and then
I
so
always
like,
thought you were interesting to begin with.
Well, I
Austin
mean,
just is
I'm
now
not saying he wasn't.
thinking that you're interesting. That's pretty fucked up to say there, I guess.
I know.
I know what you meant, Austin. It's all good.
No, he meant seriously. He's like,
I mean, you're way more
we're
interesting
just
than
gonna have on
Rob.
this
So
guy. We feel bad for him. He did the 22 challenge, so like we should have him on.
I mean,
I don't really know anything about him.
I mean, he's older than you, Rob, and did more than you did. So
yeah, but he did it all in one go.
What's that?
I said, yeah, but you did all yours in one go.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was what I'd say emotion motivated.
Yeah, I get that too, but I was like, this guy's nuts. There's no way.
Yeah, he wasn't in the right mindset when he did that first one.
No, not at all.
Well, what'd you say? You said you were hurting for like 4 days afterwards, weren't you?
Yeah, he definitely was hurting.
We're talking about that.
What did you think I was talking about?
Something else. I thought we were talking about something else. Yeah, no,
I
was hurting. Well, it was because like I got in a fight with my ex the day all right. I'm just gonna tell a story. Like I don't give a fuck. Like she's not a part of the podcast anymore. She's no longer SOS fam, even though she has and stole a lot of my stuff. We're not gonna get into the semantics of that. Yeah, all the girlfriends have stolen stuff. Anyways, so that morning I started off with 5 miles because I think it was like the second or third day that the program had started, and we just saw a flood of people rushing to do it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna jump out and just do 5 miles. And I was talking with Steph, the ex, and she's like, please don't do anything more than that. Like, she's like, I know how you get, and like you're super motivated to do stuff. She's like, break it down into like a couple miles a day or 5 miles at most, but don't do more than 5 miles. I'm like, okay, fair enough. So as I was finishing up the 5 miles, I asked her, I was like, hey, like, what's the plans? Like, I'm 30 minutes down the road. Like, I want to come see you and the girls. She's like, yeah, absolutely, come out. So I was like, okay, but like, what's the plans for the day? And she's like, well, I'm going to a wedding later today. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I'll bring, dress clothes or whatever. That way we can go to the wedding. Or do you want to leave the girls with me? You can go to the wedding, stay out as long as you want, and then I'll see you tonight when you get home. She's like, no, I really want to go to the wedding. I'm like, okay, cool. I go out, meet up with her and her dad, who has a lumber yard and like cuts wood and stuff like that. Like, successful dude, has a really good lumber yard out in Wyoming. So I'm there for an hour and a half helping them like chop wood using machines and stuff, but there's labor involved where I'm picking up logs and throwing them into like a baler to get them splitted and all this shit. So I sweat my ass off, work for an hour and a half. And then I'm like, all right, don't we have to get out of here? She's like, yeah. So we drive back to the house. I drive the girls because they wanted to ride with me and Allie because they hadn't seen her in like a couple weeks. And we get there and Steph's like, you can't come upstairs. I'm like, what? She's like, I want you to come upstairs. I'm like, why? And she's like, she said that she's been going through a lot. The house is a mess, blah, 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 this and that. I'm like, Steph, I don't care. Like, I've seen the girls wreck the house before. Like, I'm not going to judge you. Like, we've been together for a long time. It's all good. I need to come upstairs to shower and change, though. And she's like, fine. I'm like, listen, I'll take Allie for like a 10-minute walk, get your stuff together, and I'll come up. That way, you're comfortable. Keep in mind, I've been in this house probably like 300 times, and I've spent the night there many, 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 many times. So it's not uncommon for me and Allie to spend time there. So I go upstairs and she's frantically getting the girls ready and this and that. And I walk up to her with like 2 different dress shirts and I'm like, hey, which one? And she just like stops and looks at me and she's like, what do you mean, which one? I was like, which one do you want me to wear? She's like, I don't know. She's like, wait, you think you're going? And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, you can't go. Like, I'm a +1 for someone else. And I'm like, what? Who? And it was one of her girlfriends. So, like, that's fine. And it was a wedding for people that she didn't know. So I got that. But I just got done driving 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or whatever, one way to go work for an hour and a half, thinking that I'm going to spend the entire weekend with my girlfriend at the time, to be told, no, like, what are you doing in my house? And like, why are you getting dressed up for this wedding? You need to go home. So I was pissed. I was living in Riverton at that point too. So like now I had to decide if I wanted to drive back to Casper and be with friends or drive all the way back to Riverton. So I drove back to Casper infuriated, and I was trying to like see it from her perspective without like taking it out on her. And it's like, okay, whatever. You know what? Let's get our vests. Let's go see how many miles we could do. Called Austin and I explained everything that went on. He's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm just going to go out and knock out the rest of this fucking 22 challenge in one day. He's like, yeah, you know, that's a lot, blah, blah, blah. But I was so pissed. And then she found out what I was doing and she's like texting me. She's like, why are you doing this? I'm like, because I feel like it. She's like, you're doing this because you're upset at me. I'm like, no, not at all. Roll eyes.
I would never.
Yeah, I got agitated. Instead of like saying terrible things to her about how I really felt about the situation because I thought it was super fucked up. Instead, I took it out in a constructive way towards, 22 awareness. I thought it'd be pretty cool just as like a mini accomplishment to do it all in one day. I would have loved to have started from zero and did it all. I listened to a ton of podcasts. I talked to some friends. I ran part of it. Yeah, it was a lot, but I was sore, and that was all because of the good old ex that pushed me over.
I know. I said when I got up the next morning, I saw all your stories. I was like, "There's no way he did." It was like 17 miles, wasn't it? That second go. I was like, "This guy." And then you had videos of you running. Like, all right, I'm going to run these next 3. And I was like, "This is insane."
Oh, here's the worst part. I started and I got 1.5 miles, 2 miles in, and at a certain point, like I had stopped. No, I think I was like 3 miles in at this point, but at 1.5 miles, I had stopped at my neighbor's house, or the person's house I was staying at, who's like a mother to me. And I had, got a drink of water, got some like gels and stuff like that, and I was going to get back out and hit it some more. I paused it. I went out for another 1.5 miles or 2 miles and forgot to unpause my fucking watch. Oh. So I actually did like 18 or 19 miles that night. I was so pissed, but I was like, I have to show proof that I actually did the 17 miles or whatever, because everyone knew that I did the 5 miles in the morning. So I actually did probably that day like probably like 24 or 25 miles.
Oh my Lord. That's insane.
So going in with that, Rob, let's go into our next topic, which leads us, to the seasonal and environmental depression, which has been huge for you.
Yeah, and I'll try to do this without getting emotional because I don't like crying.
Don't cry again.
I know.
I mean, you've already done it like every other episode.
I think it's like every 3 or 4 I break down and start crying. Usually it's for good reasons, though. All right, no, but all jokes aside, so this promotion / move came with a lot of positives and a few negatives and just a lot of anxiety. And it was challenging because, yes, I was excited to get this job, but it was part of what cost me my relationship with Steph. Like, That was one of the things we discussed during the breakup was the long distance, and it wasn't going to work for her. Even though she, previously 2 months before that, wanted me to take this job. And a couple other things were weighing heavy on my mind. I really wanted to get out of Wyoming. A lot of people that knew me personally knew that I was suffering out there. I loved what I was doing work-wise because it was super chill, and Allie and I could stay at the house. I was pretty high up in the GS rankings. Like I was making decent money. Cost of living was cheap. I had a couple of really good friends. I had good hockey out there, but I wasn't close to any Wounded Warrior hockey program. And I was miserable in Riverton, like just insanely miserable. Like just I would call my mom probably like 2 times, 3 times a week and tell her how much I hated it here. Like I'd rather be back in Iraq. I'd rather be in Afghanistan. Like I'm alone out here. And I had a best friend named Kylie out there who's there a lot. But when I started dating Steph, like very seriously, I stopped inviting her over because it was one of those things that her friends were saying, why are you letting your boyfriend have like this super attractive girl over at his house all nights of the hour watching movies and stuff? So I had to like cut back on that. And then Kylie ended up moving. So I'm literally all by myself in Riverton. The job promotion happens. I start the process of moving out here. And at first I was excited. And then Austin, I would say it's probably like 3 or 4 times I called you like hysterically crying, just scared out of my fucking mind for a couple of reasons. One, I was nervous about how Allie was going to act because we just spent almost the past 2 years working from home and barely being in a work environment. So like, what was her transition period? She was having problems going to the bathroom out here because she's always had grass as an option. So I would call Austin in the middle of the night crying, like saying like, it's been 16 hours since my dog has peed last. Like I'm freaking out, what do I do? And it was a lot. And then it was a leadership position, which I had never done for the IT world. I had done it in the military, but I was just like, did I bite off too much? Like, am I screwed? Like, am I going to get here? Is my team going to think I'm competent or incompetent? Or, and it was just all the stress. And like, I was having like panic attacks. I was having nightmares. I could not sleep. I was having so many nightmares that Allie wasn't able to even catch all of them because she was exhausted from like lack of sleep as well. And she was sleeping through them. So for the past, 2.5 years that she's been trained, I would say I get woken up within the first, few seconds of a nightmare usually, which, can in your brain process as you being in the nightmare for like 5 minutes or something like that. But these nightmares were longer than they had been since I had her and she got her training. So I was sleep deprived. I was insanely sad, insanely scared. And, seasons are about ready to change out here. Also, no girlfriend anymore. Like the person that had my back, quit on me. And it's one of those things that sometimes you have to take the gamble and move forward because as you guys see in my stories and stuff that I've been posting, like those smiles I have, like those are not artificial. Like I have never been so happy to live and work somewhere. Like this does rival Alaska and Europe. Those places were incredible too. But it's a different feeling because in Alaska, I had my ex-wife, who's still one of my best friends. I had close friends in Germany. I had the military community. And out here, like, yes, I have my coworkers. They're incredible. They're all veterans. So they are family. But I mean, Allie and I moved out here by ourselves and, we're living here by ourselves. We have friends, which is great, but it was a big gamble on the mental health aspect of, what could happen and what could not happen. So yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, no, you're good, man. And like me and you have talked about, Rob, you like I said, your demeanor and just you being as a person are way happier. Like I can tell it just from knowing you and talking to you on the phone multiple times every single day. Like, yeah, I mean, there's definitely times where you were anxious and nervous, but like your mental health is way better.
Yeah, I mean, we go evenings where you and I don't talk at all now, and my biggest fear about coming out here is I warned you. I was like, dude, I'm gonna be on the phone with you every night. Like, I don't know
Right.
how I'm gonna handle like leaving everything I know here and moving out there because I had a pretty solid group of people that were looking after me in Wyoming, and I left all that and lost a girlfriend in the process. Like we literally
Hmm.
broke up like the last fucking 2 weeks I was living there. I was like,
Well, yeah, because you
fucking
broke up
awesome.
right before we went to Montana.
Yeah, that was part of it. Yeah. So, but more importantly, I think I want to have an open discussion with you guys about something because we all live in different areas. But as we move into the winter time, seasonal depression becomes a thing. And throughout, I guess we should just cover the winter aspect. So, what are things that you
Does
guys are going to be
Florida have
doing?
winter?
Huh?
Man, it's like
Yeah, I guess not.
50. It's like in the 50s right now. I had a sweatshirt on today.
Is there such thing as winter in Florida? I mean,
Actually, it's probably happiness there because I remember during the winter time, people were happier because it's like the rest of the world or the rest of the U.S. is getting snow and cold,
right?
and Florida people are still going to the beach and shit.
And
Well,
all
But
the
yeah, I mean,
tourists and all the tourists are gone. And we get some
right?
snowbirds that come in, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, what happened to you, Rob? What was it? Friday, Saturday?
oh yeah, you
uh,
got snow, didn't you?
yeah, we got like 4 to 6 inches up here.
That's insane. And it's still in the
We
80s
sit at
here.
like 7,000 feet. And it was wild because like that day I borrowed my boss's truck to go get the washer and dryer, and like as I'm leaving the Grand Canyon, I'm just descending in elevation, and we get down to like 5,000, 3,000, and all the snow is completely gone. And like I think Sam made a comment because she's like, "What the fuck? You got snow before we did." And I'm like, Sam, I'm at like 7,000 feet. I think that's like 3,000 meters or something in Canada language that you guys speak. But, but, and then like later, like a half an hour later, a couple hours later, she comments, she's like, where the fuck did all the snow go? I'm like, Sam, I'm at a different elevation now. The lower you go in elevation, less chance of snow. It's like 30 degrees warmer down here than it was back in the canyon. Because everyone like automatically assumes that the Grand Canyon is just like this arid place, but the inside of the canyon, yes, it's arid and it's a lot like Arizona, but at where we live and or work, 7,000 feet. So the elevation makes a difference both year round. Whereas during the summertime, it doesn't get stupid hot here. It gets hot in the canyon, but during the wintertime, we get snow, but it usually lasts for like a day or two.
But yeah, anyways, Rob.
I won't say it.
So back to what you're talking about, Rob, with winter and depression and environment and just seasonal depression coming up. Brian, send this over to you. What what do you do for like mental health? Like, what besides like having getting out and doing stuff? Like, what's your best way to deal with your mental health?
Well, I mean, like you said, getting out, doing stuff, trying to remain active. It gets a little more difficult, especially like in the wintertime, like Rob was talking about, where the days get shorter. You know, you go into work and it's dark. You're coming home from work and it's dark. You know, that can be one of those things that get people too. But trying to stay active, finding ways to get outside and do something. It doesn't have to be extreme 17-mile rucking or anything, Rob. Just getting outside,
Yeah, don't pull a Rob.
I get to work with my dog a lot too, which really uses a lot of my brain. It kind of takes me out of what may have been going on during my day or anything like that. I get to work with him, and the bond that we have and the stuff that we're doing together, that helps a ton. Um, I have an amazing wife, and she has two amazing ears, and she's always listened to what I've got to say, and she's, you know, amazing with her advice on what she can tell me, you know, how to deal with situations and things like that. I hope that it's reciprocated. I think that it is. But I try to do the same for her. So I have a partner that I can rely on. So that helps with everything too. And then I got to be a dad too for my kids, you know, so that kind of takes you out of your element too. And, you know, you kind of forget what you may have going on with you, and you're focusing on what they have going on and trying to make sure that they're doing their right thing. So a long answer to your question, but to shorten it up, you know, I have an amazing support system. I have activities that keep me busy, active, and mentally active. So that really seems to help. And the last part that really helps, Austin, is like what you said. I don't really have a winner here, so you know,
right.
I do have an opportunity 3 to 5 miles down the road to have, you know, some of the beautiful beaches in the United States. You know, I can go down there and put a fishing pole in, or, you know, just take a walk, or, you know, whatever it may be. You know, I don't have the beautiful scenery that Rob's been sharing lately, but that is my beautiful scenery, you know, for what we have down here. So
yeah,
it's all
you
of those
guys just have tornado season.
Well, yeah, and hurricanes, and like all that good stuff.
I take snow over that anything.
Not tornado season.
Whatever.
Thinking like the Midwest, Austin.
Well, we
I
get
take
tornadoes
snow over
too.
hurricanes. Yeah,
I mean, you guys get tornadoes, but it's not like a tornado season. There's hurricane season for Florida.
Yeah,
I only know this
sure.
because I
You're
may or
from
may
Florida?
not have been born there. It hasn't been decided.
May or may not.
What about you, Austin? What do you do?
Like you said, you know, I think it's just having a support system, having people you can lean on, having, you know, hobbies you have interested in, or something to, like you said, keep your mind busy, you know, instead of just sitting inside doing nothing, you know, being like, oh, I can't go outside, you know, because it's too cold, or, you know, having things you can do inside even, or, you know, having people you can talk to, you know, instead of, you know, just sitting there being like, I'm just gonna, you know, sit here and watch Netflix all day, every day, because I can't go outside and do anything. You know.
Yeah.
And then
No,
Rob's gonna go to Montana and go snowboarding.
I'm not going to Montana.
No, you don't want to go to Montana. I think he's gonna go back to Montana in the winter.
I mean, like, I might go back. Actually, I will go back because I want to check out that city.
We talked about this, Rob.
Yeah, no. Well, I was just thinking about something else up there, but no.
Well, we're not talking about that, Rob.
No, we're not talking about that.
I was talking about snowboarding.
Yeah, no, like, but honestly, I will probably go back, but more importantly, I have a really good snow park at like 7,000 to 10,000 feet. I think it starts at 7 and goes up to 10. Out in Flagstaff has like world-class snowboarding and skiing out here. So, and that's an hour and 15 minutes from the house right now. So it's probably an hour and a half with road conditions if they get bad, or maybe a little bit longer. But either way, under 2 hours, I can be on a slope and snowboarding out here, which is another interesting fact about Arizona that a lot of people don't think about. But Flagstaff, their college town, sits at 7,000 as well as the Grand Canyon. So they don't have extreme weather either. And it's pretty close by. I do most of my grocery shopping down there, actually, because there's not really a grocery store here. There's a general store, which has just about everything. But if you want to pay about triple the price. Austin, how much did I pay for gas the other night?
Like $4.50?
I think it was like $4.78, actually. Something stupid. It was over $4.50.
Well, I heard the last podcast were you talking about trying to go buy a bottle.
Trying to go what?
Yeah. Buy a bottle of Angel's Envy?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's right. We have talked about Flagstaff. Fuck. Oh, so I found out why. Flagstaff has its own taxes. Like, I guess all cities kind of can do that, because in Alaska there was places that had taxes, didn't have taxes. higher taxes up. The beast has awoken.
I see her. She's like, "You done yet, Dad?"
She's just getting more comfortable. Back to bed. So if you guys are looking behind me, you can see an ALY who just got comfortable on a Avalanche blanket. Some of you know that I'm a Golden Knights fan. If you look just above that,
right in the middle,
Save Our Six flag and the American flag.
How are they doing
that
this season?
is a Vegas Golden Knights emblem. Some people might think it's just like a Spartan helmet or something like that. No, that's for Vegas Knights.
How are they doing this season, Rob?
Let's
see.
They lost like one of their well, they beat the Kraken, which was good. The Seattle Kraken.
Yep, I see that.
But then they got
they beat the Kings. Oh no, they didn't. They got the shit beat out of them by the Kings.
Yeah, by the Kings. Yeah. There was a couple of memes about that, and then our beloved goalie, Andre McFleury.
Yeah, Fuller.
Ended up in Chicago, and he's doing terrible down there, and he used to do really good for the Knights. But on
did he get traded?
Yeah, he got traded during the offseason. He found out through a tweet.
Oh, right. We talked about that. I remember that. Okay.
Yeah. And then here's some extra good news. I'm already going to 2 Vegas Knights games this season. We just bought tickets for next month. Vegas is 4 hours away from me, so I plan on driving there occasionally to blow money.
Well, you have your tournament the end of November?
Yeah. It's Veterans Day weekend. So like November 11th. I think I'm going out there like November 10th through the 15th or something like that.
And when was the last time you played hockey?
When was that tournament? August?
I don't know. A long time
Whenever
ago.
that last tournament was. But I was shooting pucks in my garage the other day, and my aim seems to be there. So as long as I still remember how to skate, I should be fine. I should be able to score goals.
We'll see how your endurance is.
That's why I've been running, and I'm at 7,000 feet, and it fucking sucks running out here.
Have you even found a place to do hockey around you?
I haven't looked into it yet, but I know Flagstaff has hockey. I was trying to get settled first.
Well, yeah.
But I guess back to the Knights thing. I'm going to a game in November, and then one of my buddies who plays for Utah messaged me 2 nights ago, and he's like, "Hey, don't you live close by Vegas?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "I have an extra ticket for a game in December." He's like, "Do you want to go?" I'm like, "Yeah, definitely." So
that's awesome.
I'll be going to 2 of them this season,
if not more.
Yeah.
You just need to buy a season pass.
No, God, no. That's expensive. I'd rather blow my money on other things.
Than hockey?
You said a season pass for the Knights?
Hockey.
Are you fucking high? You know how expensive that would be? I'd lose all my promotion monies. I got to blow that on Allie since I don't have a girlfriend to spend it on. Oh, by the way, I'm taking applications again. DMs are open.
So he doesn't need one.
No, I actually don't for a little bit. But
he has me. That's good enough.
No, you just get jealous every time I get a girlfriend. But on a serious note, the seasonal depression thing, for those of you who don't really like winter and maybe you live in a cold environment or state where outside might not be your best option, consider looking into recreation leagues, or there's some sports that you can do during the winter time. If you're a disabled veteran and or active duty military, you should look at your local cities and see if they have a warrior program established out there. All these warrior programs take all levels of players, people that have been playing hockey for years, or all the way down to people that have never worn skates before and just suck at hockey. So that's an option. I would say connecting with friends, consider traveling or having like a vacation planned. I was talking to someone the other day that pretty upset about a couple things that are going on in her personal life. And I asked, and she hates where she lives, and she's just very unhappy. And I asked her, I was like, what plans do you have right now for your winter? And she's like, nothing. And I told her, I was like, why don't you make plans within a month or two to go somewhere? That way you actually have something to look forward to. So basically, like, you're breaking down that season that sucks for you into increments of, okay, like in 4 weeks I get to travel, or I get to see my family, or I get to see friends. And then the other thing that I would strongly consider is working out. Working out has been a huge mental stress reliever for most people. So even if you don't want to go outdoors, you can do workouts inside. And then the only other thing that's kind of like a cheap entry sport for people that want to get outside during the wintertime and super easy to pick up, I would say cross country skiing is pretty fun. You get a little bit of exercise and you get outside, which is important to do.
And it's easier than snowboarding.
A lot easier snowboarding. By the way, any new applicants will not be teaching you how to snowboard. I've taught way too many girlfriends how to snowboard, and it's a fucking disaster.
Snowboarding sucks anyways, so it's okay.
No, it doesn't. You just suck at it.
I do. That's what I'm saying. You are 100% correct on that.
So please know how to snowboard, or please don't be offended when I get you lessons, because I don't want to teach you. I did instructing for a year and a half, and it's kind of fun because I got paid to do it. Now I just feel like I'm paying to date someone to teach them how to snowboard, and I could be snowboarding by myself and having fun. So yeah, please know how to snowboard. All right, let's change topics. What do we got next?
Fantasy football.
Okay. So, Austin, this is your first year playing fantasy football. How's it going? Terrible. What happened?
I think I'm like 0-6.
Yeah. I actually want to see how my team did, because tonight's Sunday night. Do you play fantasy, Brian, or
I
do you follow
football? I do follow football, but I don't play fantasy now.
Who's your team? Is it Tampa because they won a championship recently?
No, my son likes Tampa because he loves Tom Brady. But for me, I grew up in South Carolina, so I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. Yeah.
Were you sad when my Broncos beat your Carolina Panthers?
No, it's kind of par for the course.
So, but I mean, so yeah. How about you, Rob? I mean, you've been doing okay. Like, you've been doing good in our league. What about your other league?
We don't need to talk about that.
Because you're the same.
Dude, I'm going to lose this week, too.
I know. That's what I told you. You're like half of the other guy's score.
Yeah, it's bad. I'm 3-2 in this league. I'm playing the number one guy. And although that doesn't matter, Tom Brady underperformed is what it comes down to. That fucker fucked me. All right. Anyways, in my other league, which we don't need to talk about, we can go on to the next subject. Yeah, I'm probably going to go 0-6. And like, I actually pay attention. I start my lineup, everything. Like, I've been playing fantasy football for probably like 8 or 9 years now. I've won the league that I commissioned. It's a 12-person league 3 times out of the last 8 or 9 years it's been running. So like, I know how to play football or fantasy football. Dude, wait a second.
What?
I might actually fucking win. And I had a player not even start.
Oh, on your other one?
Yeah. I don't know how. Like, oh yeah, I'm actually winning in this one. I might get my first dub. Holy shit. 106-98. He's got 1 player left for Monday night. I have 2 players left. And I even started a player that was injured. Whoops.
It's okay. I started. My kicker was injured anyways, so.
And that's how you lost.
Yeah.
All right, but people don't want to listen to us talk about fantasy.
No.
So
and
it's probably way past Brian's bedtime out there.
So we're gonna cover one more thing, and then we'll go into ATI. Something that I saw that my wife actually told me about on TikTok, that she saw was the NFL halftime show for 2022. I was surprised by this because I was like, they're finally doing a good halftime show. So they're gonna have Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, Eminem, and Kendrick Lamar as the halftime show for 2022.
That's
So,
pretty epic.
yeah. So they're putting on like a legit halftime show this time.
You don't think Bruno Mars was not legendary?
No.
The Weeknd.
The Weeknd killed it.
No.
The Weeknd
Nothing compared to
killed it.
this. It's gonna be nothing compared to this, though.
That's true. That's a pretty star lineup.
That is
Like-
pretty. Yeah.
Like these are number one, like all time rappers that are gonna be. Apparently, they actually want people to watch this year or something. So.
Yeah, their ratings are down. Like, I still haven't even watched the game, except for the Super Bowl last
How are we
year.
gonna watch it? How are we gonna watch the Super Bowl again this year, Rob?
You're gonna figure out a way to stream it legally, and I'm gonna leech off of you because you're legally doing it.
We're gonna watch it through Teams again, like we did last year.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. We'll screen share or something. I can't remember. Whatever we did, it was pretty epic. It worked.
Yeah.
The
No, I'll
scotch is really starting to hit, man.
I'll just come over there and watch it on your projector.
That's the next project. My God. I got to build furniture and shit that I bought from Amazon, and one of the things I got to build is shelves.
I mean, are you
little
done with your house yet?
shelves with my
Jeez.
projector on.
See, you should be done by now. Come on.
No, here's the thing, too. Like, fuck moving places by yourself with just a dog. My God. Like, she is insanely cute, but is fucking worthless at this move. Like, she has not done anything to help me but bark at animals, bark at people, jump around like a kangaroo in the backyard,
Cause you stress.
occasionally attack me, and occasionally sleep. I'm surprised she slept this entire episode.
All right.
Can you
Well, she's
guys
not
see her?
sleeping. Oh yeah, I can see her just fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Maybe this will be a thing.
All right. Okay, man. So, well, if you don't got anything else, either of you will jump into ATI.
Yeah, I'm good. Unless there's anything else you want to cover, Bree, about your backstory. We'll get into plugs at the very end, but you got anything else that you want to share with the listeners that they might want to know about you?
No, not really anything I can think of. If anybody's curious, follow me on Instagram. I put a lot of stuff on there, especially as it relates to me and the dog. So,
Right.
We'll get another challenge going here probably in November, and I'm sure that you and Bam will be contributing members, and we'll post you on the stories. Yeah. And you heard? Did you hear on our podcast the reason why I stopped like posting every single story? Did I tell you about that?
yeah, well, basically, you both were getting overwhelmed, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yes. Like, I love that you tagged us and everything, and I would try to put up one or two of them, but I couldn't get up like 4 to 8 of them because I was also being tagged by probably like 20 or 30 other people. There was times I would have no signal and I would call Austin. Like I would have signal like enough to make a phone call, but not enough. And I even messaged you a couple times, Brian. Like I can't even see it or post it yet. So I would tell Austin, I'm like, yo, go into SOS DMs and like fix this shit, please. Cause like I can't post anything. Or like the first week I was out here, I was kind of ignoring things. And I think the challenge was like wrapping up like the first couple of days I got out here. And I couldn't get to any of my messages. And I would get off of work after working like 10 to 12 hours that day. And I swear to God, SOS would have like 36 fucking messages. Like, great. I mean, I shouldn't say curse. I shouldn't like curse about it, like, but I'm just like, oh my god, like so many people, especially towards the end. Like, I would say September 15th on, like, the halfway point is where we just got a flood of people that joined in and wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to do something for November.
Yeah, it's incredible how big it got and how fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, when me and Rob started it, we didn't think we thought maybe 5 people would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It exploded. And you were one of those people that helped it explode, so we greatly appreciate you.
Well, I
yeah,
felt
he
bad
did.
because I did the first 22 miles like quick.
Yeah.
I didn't do them as quick as you, Rob, but I did them like in less than a week.
Yeah.
It was
Well, I
like
mean, you did 50 miles in September.
Yeah, I did 50 miles. Yeah.
That's incredible. Because there was a couple times I didn't log stuff. I'm pretty sure that I did more than 22 on my second, but I think I only got to like 17 or 19 or something like that recorded. But there was a couple hikes I did where I actually even threw plates in my bag because I kept getting cut up whenever I would go either shirtless. Like, there's a couple like Johnny or whatever his name is, like a couple people that fucking run with no shirts on. And how are they not like shredded? Like, Austin saw me in Montana when I took off my shirt.
Your back was like destroyed.
Mine was too. I had my just like hamburger meat where my plates were just rubbing because I had my ruck on too. And my wife was like, "Oh my Lord." Like, yeah, I was chowdered like in my lower back. But, you know, and then I see people like IDLH Apparel and Rich out there. And he got all his guys in the firehouse in full bunker gear, masks included. How? Okay, I can deal with a little bit of chowder on my back, man. Like, you know, I can deal with my back being, you know, scratched up and stuff from my plates. If that's all it is, those guys, you know, they're doing it for PT to up the ante for the challenge a little bit. But, you know, they wear that stuff for real. You know, like, yeah, at least I could do is go out there and put in a couple of miles. But then, you know, like we were saying, it just kept growing from there. And then it went from, I started trying to call people out, like, and not really considering people have things going on in their lives, but, you know, but then it went to what you guys were reposting. So, you know, you saw like Church, he was out there, you know, and I started talking to him, and then I started talking to Garrett. What was his sign? G2 Sarge. Yeah, and he was doing 75 hard at the same time.
Oh yeah.
And the one that really pushed me pretty far was Kim and her son Lincoln. She had her son on her backpack, and he always had an American flag. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah.
Like, man, that's incredible. Like, yeah, let's go. Like,
there's tons of
there's
tons of people that got out and did it with like different versions of it, or their version of it, which I thought was cool.
What else is cool is there's still people doing it. I still get tagged in messages where people are like, "Hey man, late to the party, but I'm still getting my miles in." Like, it's still going on. I mean, the foundation will always accept donations, I'm sure, but you know, we did a lot to raise awareness and raise some money for those folks, and you know, we start watching their stories of the dogs and the veterans that are getting these dogs and stuff like that. It's incredible, and it takes. I was doing like 2 miles in under 30 minutes and 2 minutes to share a story about it. Like,
at one point you were trying to get it under 20 minutes for 2 miles.
yeah, I was trying to. So we did it, but you know, like at what cost, right? You know, so I'm not getting any younger, and my knees and shins were screaming, you know. So
oh, I'm sure.
But you know, it's those little things like we were talking about earlier, trying to stay right in your brain, you know, and doing those little things that push me a little further, and then sharing that, it maybe will motivate that next person or whatever. That whole challenge, that whole month seemed to do that for a lot of other folks. I met some really cool people, you guys included, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I told Rob when we were talking offline, like it came at a time where I didn't know that I needed it, and then you know, it helped and motivated and inspired, and I just hope that, you know, sharing my two minute story about, you know, hey, got a tropical storm coming, but I'm still gonna try to go get these 2 miles in real quick. Um, I think it meant a lot to some people, and what they were doing meant a lot to me, and just kept going. The rest is history.
Yeah, it was definitely a good time.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Rob, you got anything? You got anything else over there?
The only other thing I wanted to say was Zach would get on their church,
Yeah.
and I would watch him do like a 3 mile run, and I'm looking at his like run time, and him and I are pretty much the same size, and I think like height too. And I think his fitness level is higher than mine right now, just in general. Oh, and the guy's got fucking beast legs, because I was making fun of my legs the other day when he posted something about his workout recently. Anyways, I look at his time and I'm like, fuck, man, now I got to go out there and outrun this idiot. Like, I didn't mean idiot, but like, I'm like, I got to go out there and outrun. I got to outrun Zach. Like, damn it. And then like, I would only go like a mile or 2 miles at that pace. And he's like, really good job. He's like, that's a really good time. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't run 3 miles consecutively at that time. I ran like 2.
Yeah, that dude's in good shape too, man. And I've been talking to him a lot too through DMs and stuff. And his big thing was waiting on his T-shirt. He's like, I want to do my last 2 miles, and when my shirt comes in, and then it came in, and he's like a damn fitness model out there with
Oh yeah,
with his pictures and stuff. But man, that's awesome. He's a good dude, man, and he's in really good shape.
Yeah. Well, I think we get into ATI.
Yeah, since Rob's already plastered over there, so
feeling the scotch. All right, I'll read first.
Okay.
Would you rather take on a? I actually heard this one on another podcast or something similar to this. Would you rather take on a mama lion with just a dagger, or a pack of 8 wolves with just 8 bullets and a gun? Brian.
Man, I'm gonna have to go with the gun. I gotta trust my headshots.
Okay. What about you, Austin?
I'm going with a knife. Just because, like, my thought is, like, when that gun runs out, you ain't when that gun runs out, you ain't gonna find extra bullets, but you'll always have a knife.
You're not Leonardo DiCaprio, man.
I didn't say I was.
You're gonna die, like 100%. Like, there's no chance. All right, boys, you both picked. One picked terrible, one picked intelligent. I'm gonna go with Brian here on intelligence. Let me teach you guys something that I learned in Alaska. So I was out hiking in the middle of nowhere, probably about like 50, 70 miles from like the nearest city, out of this glacier. And this is a true story, and this shit was wild. It didn't get. I'll just tell a story, because I'm in favor of the bullet and wolves thing.
Okay.
So we're out, we're hiking, and when we parked the car, there was 3 cars parked in the parking lot, and people like go a mile or 2 out to this glacier and they come back. It's getting dark. We're walking back. As we were heading out, we ran into one couple that took up 1 car. And then as we're coming back, we didn't see the other person in passing, but we found footprints. So we started using the footprints because the snow was already packed and we could kind of walk through that. Because we're post Poland, which is when you break snow and you go like knee deep or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's a pain in the ass to walk through. We didn't have snowshoes or skis. Anyways, 3 of us were heading back. We're following tracks. The tracks stop all of a sudden, and they just stop. There's an area that is covered with wolf prints, like the size of my fucking fists. And there's an indent in the snow where it looks like something fell over, and then there's drag marks, probably going, I don't know, like a good like 100 meters out towards like some shrubs, and there's a little bit of blood. And I'm telling my buddy, I'm like, dude, whoever else was out here got fucking mauled by a pack of wolves, I think. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, these are not dog prints. These are not dog prints. Like, look at the size of these. So we took pictures of the area, and he's like, well, what are we going to do if they come back or whatever? I'm like, honestly, dude, he's like, I have 5 bullets right now because I was carrying a revolver with me that day. And I'm like, honestly, if they come back, we're going to have to identify, and it's going to have to happen fast. We're going to have to identify which one is the pack leader, and you need to shoot the pack leader, and you need to shoot the beta, like the second in charge. So I have 5 bullets to do that. I have to take discretionary shots. Like, you have to help me identify what you think is the leader, and we need to shoot that one, because if we could shoot that one and kill it, it might potentially scare off the other ones from attacking us. So, Austin, you made a terrible decision. Brian, you made a great decision. I wouldn't worry about placing well-aimed 8 shots at each individual animal. I would concentrate on like getting the 2 most pursuing animals and then using those extra bullets for anything that comes your way. So, yeah. And to finish that story, we ended up not having cell phone service for like an hour or 2 while we drove back. We called in to the state troopers, and there was actually a missing report put in on the guy that had parked that car out there, and they never found the body. I can't remember if there's like a news article that said that it was a wolf attack or he just got wandered off into Alaska, because people fucking disappear out there all the time.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah. So like, fucking wild though, to be walking out there and just like see, like there's like 25 paw prints, because obviously there's like 4 paws, but there's just like boom, 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 paw prints everywhere, and then you can see the impact where someone had fallen, and the footprints stopped. Like, there was no more footprints after that. So yeah. All right.
Anyways,
next question.
Next one for you, Rob. Would you rather be able to drink with no hangover, or be able to pull any girl you wanted at the bar?
Brian, go first.
Dude, no hangover. All day long. No hangover.
So, egotistical Rob's in the house right now, and he's going to say he doesn't have a problem pulling girls. So, let's go with no hangover.
Oh, I'm surprised you picked that answer, Rob.
I'm not worried about my competence or confidence of picking up a girl at a bar, but
especially if you got Allie.
Yeah, if I'm Allie, I'm pretty sure most girls are into Allie first, and then they're like, "Well, he's kind of cool." So,
I mean, I agree.
What about you, Austin? Are you picking up every girl?
No, I'm definitely going no.
Say
hangover.
It louder so your wife can hear you.
I'm going no hangover. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, you're gonna pick every girl. Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
Jessica, I'm gonna send her a snap right now.
You can do that. You can try.
I'm going to. I know how to.
I know you know how to send my wife a snap.
I don't think I've ever actually sent her a snap.
I mean, I'm looking at her right now, so.
Jessica, we're doing the podcast right now, and Austin was, read a question. It was like, would you rather, where's that? I lost it. Would you rather be able to drink with no hangover or be able to pull any girl at the bar that you wanted? I said, you're a married, happy individual with a very good wife at home waiting for you. Why would you ever want anything else but not to have a hangover? The reality is, he wanted the girls. He's like, I'll take a hangover anytime. By the way, I'm completely lying about all this. He picked not having a hangover. Hope you're well. Bye. All right. Austin, will you read the next question while I send this to Jessica?
Okay. Rob's in US Snap, by the way. So if a real life purge were to happen, would you participate in it or lock down?
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one, because there's some people I'm sure would love to be purged.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, it's a hypothetical, but is it a one-time event, or is it
Yeah,
an
like-
annual? Is it an annual purge like in the movies? You know, like,
just a one time.
I think I might have to go with lockdown.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's a smart answer.
yeah, I think so too.
I'm
What are you
doing
thinking,
the whole lockdown thing. It's just I don't care how good you are. Like I've hunted people before in a previous life,
Right.
and you know, if everyone's out there participating in it, yeah, I would take a defensive stance and try to protect Allie and I, and just be ready to murk anyone that comes for us.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think it'd be like I said, like you said, Brian. There's definitely a couple of people that you'd want to go out and. But is it worth trying to do that when everybody else is trying to do the same thing?
Right.
You know.
Too high risk, little reward. Maybe
Yeah.
that person that you guys all hate to the point of death will just get killed in the process, and then you'll be happy.
Good thing it's you.
What?
No.
All right.
Okay.
Last. Wait.
Nope.
Oh,
Got two more.
this is awesome. If you were attacked by 50 pigeons, how many could you kill before they got you?
What you got, Brian?
Ooh,
Just with your bare hands.
50 pigeons. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna say at least 15.
Really? I think that's a high number.
Got like these irrational, like.
I think that's a high number. I was gonna go like 7. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. I was like, Austin's probably gonna say like 25.
I was gonna say like 7.
7?
I'm gonna say 15 though, because you figure, they're not all gonna be like on your face. You got 2 hands, you got 2 feet. They're fragile.
That's a lot of pigeons.
You can kick, you
It is a
can
lot
stomp.
of pigeons. I'll be snapping necks though and breaking legs, ripping wing. I'm gonna go. I don't know if I can get to 15, but I think I could get maybe 9 to 12 in.
Yeah.
That sounds reasonable, because like my idea is like I'm getting the ones that are going for like face,
Right.
or like trying to go for like arteries or something like that.
Right,
So
your
those
jugular.
you grab them off of you with 2 hands, not one, with 2. Snap neck, move on to next.
Or just grab one and use it as a beating.
Rip apart. That way you rip their wings off, and then you take the excess wing that's attached to the bird and throw it away.
Or you just grab one bird and beat the rest of them with it.
There you go.
True too.
Oh,
or you have a bird hunting dog, and she comes and saves your life and kill all 50.
Yeah, I mean, if you had Allie, you could probably definitely.
I think we're
definitely
like getting at least like 23.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, and or all of them.
Yeah, if you have Allie,
she's fat.
Then,
She'll get a lot of the kill. Dude, so like one day, like I hope my mom's not listening to this, otherwise she'll actually hear the story that I told my dad. So like one day, like I go out in the yard and Allie's got something in her mouth and she's like throwing it in the air, and then she's like catching it and she's just running around with it. I'm like, what the fuck does she have? And I run out there to see what she's got. It's a fucking dead dove. Like she had caught a dove, killed it, and was playing with it. And then fast forward like 3 months later or whatever, I see her in the backyard and a bird lands on the ground and she just goes off and catches it. And it's a small like finch. So I'm like, fuck. I'm like, Allie, drop it. And I'm like, leave it. And she drops it immediately. She spits it out. So I walk over to this thing and I'm like, oh, and I'm looking at it and I'm like holding her back. And I'm like, damn it. And I'm like, it's still like fidgeting around. So I'm like, I need to put it out its misery. So I had a shovel close by. So I grabbed the shovel. I think I was either on the phone with Austin or I was on the phone with someone. It might have been on the phone.
Yeah. I don't think it was me.
Okay. I was on the phone with someone and I'm like, I'm going to have to kill this bird. So I go to swing, the bird gets up, flies off, but this idiot bird smokes itself and runs into the fence. So then Allie goes and attacks it again. I'm like, fuck. So I yell at her to drop the bird for a second time. She drops the bird second time. I go over to, I'm like, it's got to be dead by now. So then I go to swing on it again. It gets up, flies into a tree, and was fine. And then like flew over the fence and was good. I think Austin had to mute himself. He's got a dog situation going on.
I do.
But yeah, so birds are dead if they're close to Allie, basically.
Just give me a sec, okay?
Are you coming back, Austin?
No.
Okay.
Never.
Last question. Would
Okay,
you rather be... Huh?
I'll read it. You read the last one.
Okay, go.
Okay. Says, would you rather be the world's tallest man or the world's shortest man?
Oh man, I'm gonna go with tallest.
Yeah. I'm gonna go shortest.
It seems like you'd have a rougher life as the shortest.
I don't know. I don't know. I think you'd have. I think it'd be hard either way.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you're like 8 feet
you wouldn't be able to ride roller coasters.
I don't ride roller coasters anyways.
I think you'd be more interesting, and girls will automatically assume that you're well endowed. So, like, I'm gonna go with that.
For tall or short?
Then no one likes a short guy. Like it's just factual. There's unless you want to date like midgets, which there's nothing wrong with midgets. We support midgets on this podcast, but like you're losing out. Although I have a friend who's kind of like small, and God, I hope my mom's not listening to this. Anyways, he ends up hooking up with some chick that like I knew or whatever, and she comes outside and she's like, it was great. She's like, at one point, I just picked him up, I started making him fuck me like a dildo, and I was like, what? So I went and talked to my buddy about it. I'm gonna keep him nameless because he actually supports the podcast and knows who we are, and I know he knows who I'm talking about. He said he never had felt so violated in his life.
I'm still going shortest person.
Yeah, you're gonna get violated. You're gonna get thrown around
Maybe
and
I
shit.
like it. It's okay.
All right. Well, that was the last question.
Yeah, that's it, Rob.
Huh?
You gonna sign us out now, Rob?
Well, hang on. Is there anything that you want to plug, Brian or Austin of Vigilant Humble?
No.
Yeah, my buddy Rich with IDLH Apparel. That's this hat right here. I got his swag on. He was the guys that were in the Rescue 22 challenge that were in the firefighters in South Florida that were in the bunker gear. That's his company. His links on my bio and stuff like that. I'm an affiliate for his company, so discount codes and all that stuff are all in my bio on Instagram. So go check them out. Other than that, Vigilant and Humble, Save Our Six, you guys as well. I try to tag you guys in what I can and hashtags and all that good stuff. So, but that's my shameless plugs.
Well, we appreciate it. We like idea. How do you pronounce it again?
IDLH.
Yeah, I knew how it looks. I just can't say it out loud. I actually that hat is sick. Like I think I want to order one. Yeah, bring it up. That is awesome. Yeah, that hat is so cool.
Yeah. And the shirt to match.
I don't see them post. I don't think I see them post much about their apparel. We should talk to them and see if they want to coordinate with some of the photographers we know or whatever, or maybe they might want to even see if Sam wants to get involved doing a shoot for them, Because
get with Rich on just DM IDLH. It's at IDLH_apparel. Get with him. You know, I don't know what he's got as far as you know, modeling apparel or anything like that, but he's got an awesome site. He shares a lot of things going on in the firefighter community, first responders, donations, all kinds of things. So anybody, any of your listeners,
really good guest too.
What's that?
Oh, guest on the podcast.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's H.
Yeah, him and I have talked through Saver 6, and I even think through my personal page. Yeah, I love his. I spelled it wrong. Thank you, Austin. We have live notes that we can send to each other, and I just typed it completely wrong, even though you told me what it was. Austin just went there, deleted it out, and like retyped it. No, we'll definitely talk to him and see if we can help push his stuff, because I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't realize that he was actually selling a lot of merch. Like I didn't know, like I see a lot of the firefighter stuff and a lot of the workout stuff, which is great stuff, but he should definitely represent some of his apparel, because that apparel is really nice. And it looks like it's not like cheap, shitty apparel that some of these IG companies like to throw up. And you know, Austin and I like love the quality of our stuff that we produce, and you have some of our stuff. But the point is, like, that's a really sick design. And we can help him, if we can help him push his stuff, or if you do anything that you want us to share, being, you know, kind of a rep for them, at least through the Save Our Six part, you know, let me know, and I'll share some of the posts or whatever, or stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right. I don't got anything to promote except for the fact that I want to say a big thank you to the Sos admins who have been helping me out with posts, with stories, and answering DMs and stuff.
While Rob gets the shit together.
Yeah. It's been a rough like 3 or 4 weeks where it hasn't been easy to like manage a company and get my life together out here. So I just really appreciate Sam, Austin, Phil, and Allie for all the hard work they've done.
Allie puts in tons of hard work.
Yeah. No. But that's it. If you guys aren't subscribed, please subscribe. If you're not following us, follow us. If you want to ask us any questions, or if you're struggling at all this winter, hit us up. Like we'll definitely talk to you guys. All three of us are down. Like if you're really having trouble reaching me or the Save Our Six site, hit me up on my personal page. I usually check that a little bit more often. I actually get the notifications. I had to turn off Save Our Six notifications. It was just too much. So, but yeah, so thank you everyone for joining us. This was episode 35 of the Fight Like Hell podcast. Brian, stick around, and we will see you guys soon. Peace.